Trojans, you asked for more collectives. Do we have Laker royalty coming to the Trojans? And finally, look for this coming out. More SEC defenders. We'll talk about that and more on today's show. Welcome back, you guys, for another episode of Trojan Conquest Live. This week, we are packed. We had news after news after news happen this week, and it's getting a little bit crazier each week. So what I want you guys to do is remember this is a Trojan interactive show. So we want your interaction through the chat, as well as later on, you'll have an opportunity to call in and talk to us. So we have a lot going on, so we'll get you started right away. Rick, how you doing?
Doing tremendous, Tim. What a weekend to be a Trojan. So much going on. We got a jam-packed show. We have Jeff McKay and Frank Martin, a former offensive lineman with SC from Mater Dei, to talk about the Conquest Collective, NIL at USC. And then, crazy with Bronny James committing 20 minutes before the Laker game. Andy Enfield and Lincoln Riley are at the game. The Lakers win. And this morning, a couple more commits, transfer. We'll get into it, the transfer from Alabama, and then his brother, class of 2025. So without further ado, let's introduce you to our special guest tonight with the Conquest Collective, Jeff McKay and Frank Martin.
And so if I have to tell you, if you're a Trojan fan, and I'm assuming because it still is early May, and you're looking for Trojan information, Jeff McKay, that McKay. Jeff McKay is the son of J.K. McKay. You might know him as the 1974 national champion playing for his father, who obviously is the grandfather of Jeff McKay. And then we also have Frank Martin. And Frank Martin, you'll remember if you're from the South, the Southland, he played tackle at Mater Dei High School for the Monarchs, as well as from 96 to 20. Sorry, I keep doing that. From 2016 to 2021, Frank was on the USC Trojans. So with no further ado, let's bring them on in. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Fight on, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys.
So everyone's been clamoring, as long as I can remember, is, what's going on with the Trojans? How come we don't have these collectives? And in the space of, not much time here, we're actually, it shows like they had a plan, and they did have a plan. They had to get the right people involved, get the right systems involved in order to do it the way, the Trojan way, because we do things right here. So please, you guys, go ahead. Tell us a little more about your collective.
Yeah, guys, thanks again for having us on. We really appreciate it. Frank can jump in anytime, but so our collective, we've been working on this, I think, all in for, about a year. Manny Hernandez, who kind of came up with the concept, goes by the name Murr, is pretty prominent financial advisor, represents, I believe, over 30 NFL players, including multiple former Trojan players. So he had been actually helping out with some of the other groups as well, just trying to put people in contact. He has great relationships with former players at the university, brainstorming with them, and then kind of came up with his own concept of how he wanted to form his own group and how it might be slightly different. I would explain it just maybe more layers. So donor support, obviously very important, but we're also looking at brand deals, corporate sponsorships, and then memberships, which Frank will get into in more detail, but getting kind of the fans involved. So we've been at it for quite a while now. About a year. We've been now working, I think, with USC on the compliance side for probably a good 3 months, just making sure we're doing everything the right way. We've partnered with a company called Athlete Advantage, who's one of the leaders in the NIL space. They've launched collectives at multiple other schools. So they've been amazing, kind of steering us along the way of the do's and the don'ts, how we should be tackling things. On the compliance side, they have lawyers that will help with contracts, stuff like that. So they've been amazing too. And then, just trying to get everyone comfortable, with the university, how they kind of run things, what we can and can't say. And so it's been a pretty slow process, understandably. So, obviously I think we would have liked to get going maybe a while ago, but we just been making sure that we're doing everything the right way, and then kind of did our initial little announcement Thursday, so a couple days. So we're kind of basically this upcoming week is going to be our first week where we kind of start hitting the pavement and start trying to close some deals and all that.
Can you go into a little description about, I don't understand much about it, but I heard a little about the fact that you guys are basically certified by the athletic department, meaning you guys went through a training process to do this completely right, because USC is going to do this on the up and up. I know some other collectives out there and throughout college football are kind of skirting the truth, maybe with inducements and whatever.
Yeah.
But I do believe you guys were certified through the university. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we had basically our whole team, and I think we're considered NIL educated. So you go through a whole process of, some Zoom calls with the compliance people. Here's, how things operate. Here's what you can say. Here's what you can't say. A lot about what logos, images you can use. So we went through that process, and now, not to get into too much detail, but we're looking at maybe doing another deal through Playfly where we could use logos, images, things like that. So we went through the whole process. Frank obviously went through it as well as a bunch, K's, Pollard, George Farmer, Marcus Martin, and I don't remember, Frank, a bunch of other guys were involved.
Yeah, for sure. And just to piggyback off that, I just want to give a shout out to Lindsay Lope. She's been amazing in the process of just interacting with us and being completely transparent. USC obviously has a duty to make sure that whatever they do is compliant, right? We want USC to be the gold standard in every single regard. And we're more than open to, following whatever sort of protocol that they had in place, which we did. And I'm actually kind of, very thankful for that, because you don't want any sort of outside guy with, you don't know what his intent is to get involved in that fold. So shout out to USC on that sort of front for really having this sort of process to make sure that the people who are getting involved are of, a certain quality and have the background and, qualifications to actually, facilitate something like this. So can't wait to continue to embark on this. And I think USC is approaching this the right way, and we can't wait to continue to work alongside them.
Yeah.
So let me ask you guys both, Jeff and Frank, the perception on social media and fans with SC just 6 to 8 months ago is what's going on with SC's collective. There was some maybe miscommunication, misunderstanding with Boulevard and what it was doing. And then you see other schools that maybe were using NIL to induce certain players. Everything is brand new. What if I'm listening to you correctly, it probably took time to make sure that you're compliant, but behind the scenes, it seems like USC was working with NIL collectives to get them up and running the correct way. Am I safe in assuming that?
I think that's definitely a safe assumption. So working with groups to make sure they're compliant, obviously, I think maybe they're looking at it as a little bit of competition. So a handful of groups kind of maybe attacking it different ways. But yeah, being fully compliant, I think USC's definitely taken a much different approach. I've heard many of the same things on social media. I can, as Frank can attest to, there's definitely none of that going on with our group. We're not in contact with high school recruits or anything like that. We're just attacking it from the business side of, here's kind of some of the money we've raised, here's some of the deals that we have going on. And then, obviously in the next couple of months, we're confident that we're going to be able to announce a few more deals that we're really excited about, player specific, but also team wide, that we think, maybe in the future could be a great kind of recruiting pitch. But there's none of that, like we're calling a high school kid to, try to tell them, the cool stuff we're working on. There's definitely none of that going on.
Now, will your NIL collective be focusing on just USC football or all student athletes across all sports at USC?
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And that's kind of why, we've rebranded to Conquest Collective, because it's a lot more all-encompassing, inclusive kind of approach. And we want to be here for every student athlete, not specifically, you know, the revenue generating sports, though, you know, those are going to be prominent targets. We're here to be a resource for everyone. And what I'm going to continue to tell people is that at the basis of it, this collective is here to be a resource. We're aware that there's a lot of other entities here. That's great. But anything to help the student athlete at the bottom line, that's ultimately what we're striving to do. So really looking forward to maybe one day working alongside or just continue to keep in contact in a, you know, polite manner.
Yeah. And to add on to Frank's point. So again, we're looking, we kind of started with football because, you know, that was a lot of the background in our group was in football. We've always planned to roll out with every sport. So I think we're going to look at it, say in the next month, we're going to start making some announcements. You know, I think our goal high level is to bring in some additional board members that would concentrate on individual sports, so basketball, baseball, volleyball, etc., and just try to get, I mean, there's sports been overwhelming, like the, you know, quote, Trojan family has reached out, wants to get involved and help. So we're just trying to facilitate those conversations, find the right people. There's definitely some good people that are, you know, have great expertise in baseball, for example. So we're trying to work with them to kind of focus on, you know, what the baseball program might need, and then basketball down the line. But yeah, we definitely like to get involved and help every sport.
And so if you guys notice at the bottom here, I went ahead and I do have a little banner going across the screen. So again, you know, I've heard it in my mentions and my DMs about why aren't we doing more with NIL? How come Oregon's doing this? How come this is going on? Well, you can get involved in this space. And again, through the Trojan Conquest Collective, you guys would be able to get involved at $25 at, you know, starting out at 25 in different levels. Guys, did you want to just kind of go through those different levels? Maybe I know there's a lot of information on the website, but you just give them a briefing on what you'd be looking at as far as what the benefits would be of joining the collective.
Yeah. Frank, you want to hit that one?
Sure thing. So the collective tiers are obviously tiered to we want everyone to be involved, right? And we understand that not everybody can donate you know, a certain amount a month. So we wanted to make a very inclusive approach by having the basis level be an entry level $25. In the different tiers, you're going to get a lot of different things, but as the tiers get more expensive, you're going to get more things like more inclusive fan events, exclusive memorabilia. And another thing that we have cooking up is more exclusive content that we really think a lot of the Trojan family would really, you know, like to see. I personally have been watching a lot of, you know, like the Eagles sort of approach to different games. And I love some sort of concept of that being going on for USC. And I know that the Trojan family and everyone would kind of like to see a deeper insight to that. Like I said, fan experiences, different memorabilia. We have a lot of things in the work. We're really open to partnering with a lot of different people in the Trojan family if you're open to it. So please get in contact with either Jeff and I via email. Well, can we drop our email in the chat? Or
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. See, how am I to get that though? The question would be.
Here, I've
Let me
got
pull
it.
up. Go ahead, keep talking.
I'll
I'll
drop
see
it.
if I can pick it up.
I'll drop
Yeah,
it.
and
Which
add on
members
to
you want?
Frank's, I mean, membership wise, we think we got some really cool stuff. Obviously, you know, we announced our initial athlete ambassadors, which we'll get into later, but we have a bunch of other people that we're going to be announcing in the next, you know, 2 to 3 weeks. So we're going to utilize that a lot. So obviously working with the current players, you know, tailgate parties, things of that nature, but then also a lot of, you know, well-known former Trojans where we can do like a happy hour, a lunch, you get to hang out with them. And the team, which I know I don't want to jump ahead, we're going to talk about that in a bit, has just been amazing. Like all of these people are volunteering their time. They just want to help the team. They truly don't get anything out of this. They just, you know, want to see USC succeed. So we're pretty excited about that part. You know, we're a company that's basically a few days old now. So we got to figure out certain parts of the membership, but, you know, I think we're going to be able to offer a lot of cool things that fans will be interested in. And like Frank said, like we want everybody to be involved. Like, you know, not everyone can donate millions of dollars, but if you can donate $25, $50, $100, something like that, we want to be able to offer those people some cool experiences.
Yeah, and like Jeff said before, the continued support from the Trojan family has been overwhelming, and we just want to continue to have that ball rolling and just lend an open arm and just get in contact with anybody who would like to get involved. So, like I said before, any sort of interest in any capacity, don't hesitate to reach out to either Jeff and I, and we can connect some dots.
Yeah, I could drop the phone number on your website. Pulled up the website phone number here. If people want to get involved, get information, would that work?
Yeah, that works. And I will add our contact info. Anyone, I guess, watching, like, aside from like the membership, but like businesses that want to get involved, I'll give my email address out, which is jeff@theconquestcollective.com. But if you have a small business, anything like that, we'd love to hear from you. Membership stuff, should be pretty self-explanatory on the website, but there's a phone number you can call. But, for businesses out there, we'd love to hear from them. We have, just in the short time since we've announced, we've had, I don't know how many, honestly lost track of how many meetings we have set up for next week, but we have a lot of people that are really interested. So we're really excited about that. And kind of sidebar, one thing we definitely want to address, which we've heard kind of on social media, not a lot, but I think there's, a good amount of misinformation, not necessarily just about our group, but NIL in general, the way kind of we're structured. We're attacking this as 90% goes to the team, or the player specifically, 10% goes to the collective. So we've heard, these groups are trying to make a bunch of money, and we can assure you that's not the case. We're just, that 10% is to keep the lights on, cover basic expenses, but to stay compliant within the rules. So you can't just take money and give it to a player without doing anything. So we've really given a lot of thought to that part of the business. And again, Athlete Advantage, the company we're working with, is amazing. So we feel like this is the best approach to do it. Most money going to the people that deserve it, the players, and then a little bit to the collective, again, to pay some basic expenses. But none of us are taking, salaries, or pretty much everyone involved is doing this because they want to help the program. There's no money grab here.
Well, part of your services to the student athletes provide them with tax planning, financial
That's
structure.
a great question. So Athlete Advantage, again, they've done this a bunch. They represent, I don't know, hundreds of individual players, and then they run collectives. But yeah, they help with all that stuff. So they help on the tax side. They help, a player create their own LLC, review the contracts for them, show them, here's, what you're going to have to pay in taxes, when you'll have to pay them, a lot of great information, which, I can just speak for myself. When I was that age, there's no way I would have known how to do that. So It's pretty encompassing. And, we want players to, even if they get deals from, obviously outside our collective, that's awesome, but they can reach out to us and ask questions. We can put them in touch. Like, all the services that we offer through Athlete Advantage comes free of charge. They need a contract review, we'll get it to the lawyers. They can kind of tell them, hey, this looks good, or you might want to tweak this, that kind of stuff. But yeah, the back end is definitely covered.
Yeah. So simple answer to that, Rick. All of the above. We're here to be a resource. And ultimately, we want what's best for these athletes, because, myself in particular, I was one of these guys that wasn't able to benefit. So now coming back into that fold, to have the opportunity to give back in that sort of capacity just feels natural. So
that's excellent, because you, like Tim had mentioned, you just finished up in 2021, and you're well connected to the university, the athletic department, the football program. And so I think that's going to be beneficial for your collective to have you as a resource, Frank, and to, understand the student athletes and what their needs are. And obviously understanding tax planning, financial planning is huge. There's so many other things going on, and, they need to concentrate on their sport, but to have the proper support to make their lives manageable in this changing NIL landscape, that's huge.
Are you guys comfortable taking any questions from?
For sure. And just
viewers?
to add on to that.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Frank, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and prior, after I graduated, I had a stint working at a venture capital firm investing in startup companies. So it's like I'm taking that same approach of equity and ownership to a lot of these guys at SC, because everyone's a walking business nowadays, So I don't want somebody to be looked at as just a marketing ploy. I want people, or these athletes specifically, to say, hey, understand your value, So if I can just continue to, spread that information to, the athletes amongst USC, I think the impact will be, outlandish. So I just want to continue to do that and just educate and inform these guys that they can do so much with this platform. And we're here to help that.
And did you guys feel comfortable just taking one question from one of the viewers?
Yeah, of course.
I'm not sure exactly how to answer this one, but so question, can you explain to us how players are chosen and how it's determined how much money one can get or should get? Thanks. So basically, I think they're asking is how are the athletes selected, and is there a process for the evaluation? I guess I don't know how to address that.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good question. It's not a super simple one to answer, but players. So starting next week, we're going to have a team through our partnership with Athlete Advantage. I think we're going to have 3 to 4 people local that are going to basically spend their entire day fishing out deals. So team deals, individual player deals. So it kind of depends on how that goes. So the obvious answer is, some of the star players are going to be of more interest, but we're truly trying to focus on making sure that we find deals that might, benefit, players maybe that are backup players or something like that. So that part will vary a little bit. And then as we raise, donor money. So if we get donor money, we kind of have to look at it as, I'll use a different sport, but say baseball, we raise X amount of money. We would, approach the coach, kind of get their input as, do you want to do an even split? Donors, I think the cool thing about NIL is it gives donors the opportunity to really choose how they want that money to go. So you kind of talk with both sides, the donors, and then, the coaching staff of how they would kind of like to handle that. I don't know.
Great question. Great answer.
Okay.
Yeah. I got a little bit more to add on that in terms of, like smaller brands and things like that. It also is going to depend on the actual social media following that these athletes have as well. That's going to play a huge part of it. One thing that I want to stress to a lot of athletes, anyone who's actually listening to this, is that you need to conduct your social media in a way of building a community. That is your fan base, right? So the bigger your community is, the more, rewards or compensation that you can get from a brand that's willing to, pay for X amount of exposure. So there's different sorts of, there's different kinds of formulas for CPMs, which is, your click rates and your impressions and things of that sort. But we're going to have a team in place to really make sure that these guys get what they're valued for.
And so I did want to also really quickly, I'm trying to honor your time. We wanted to talk a little bit about the some of the people you already have involved, some of the athlete ambassadors that people, well, go ahead, you explain exactly what the athlete ambassador is.
So all of these athlete ambassadors are ex-guys that, I know or have played with, Tyler Vaughn's over there on the right. We reached out to every one of these guys individually, and they said, hey, in any capacity, if we had any kind of engagement, would you be willing to help us? And it was a resounding yes from all of these guys. And there's going to be a variety of different ways that we're going to utilize them. There's not one specific way per se. It could be just showing up to an event. It could be just, calling an athlete and helping them through a hard time. But the role is not too small or not too large. It's still very open, but the vast majority of, Trojans that we've contacted are willing to help in any sort of capacity, and just trying to, pay it forward because they remember at one point that they were in those shoes that the current guys on the field are. So in any capacity, if they can, help them out with, connecting them to maybe a tutor or something, anything, maybe a therapist, these guys are willing to do whatever to the resources to ultimately help them get to their goals.
And this is just a who's list, you guys. You got, I saw everybody on there. I saw Cookie Monster on there, right? I see Big Cat on there. I see tons of guys in here. A lot of receivers, and then you said you were British. Also, we have track athletes involved as well. And I don't think we have a list without talking about Lendale White. They're on the bottom. Big Lendale White, Thunder, and we'll talk about Lightning a little bit later. And then who? Jeff, Who's the guy in the Buccaneers jersey down there?
He played, I believe, in 1912 for USC. That is my dad.
Deep
So he's
BC.
involved. And yeah, I mean, our ambassador list, we're going to continue to add people. People are super excited to help. Like Frank said, there's varying levels, but we're also, looking at it from like a service-oriented collective. So a lot of them are going to help, players with mentorship roles. So we have Marcus Martin, George Farmer Jr., who will probably be more, hopefully on the day-to-day, but a lot of former players, if the current guys have questions, they can reach out to them, give them advice, life advice, whatever. So we're, excited. We're hoping to add, some more basketball people, men and women, and continue to add to the list. But, the support through all of our relationships, it's pretty easy to get guys excited about it. Lendale's also, we're jumping the gun a little bit, but I think we're going to do a podcast with him. He's pretty excited, has some ideas to kind of host I don't know, weekly, bi-weekly, however often we do it, podcast for the group, which is super cool.
And then
We also have
joking.
Brooklyn Shermer, who we're adding from the volleyball team.
Oh,
She's an ex-volleyball player. She should be on the list too, but they're going to continue to come. The more people that we, talk about this message to, the more people buy in. Obviously, it's a very, prominent and good cause, and, people just want to help. So we're really thankful for that and want to continue to connect and just bring as many people into the fold as we can.
Yeah. And then I was joking. That's actually, if you know anything about USC football, that's J.K. McKay. That's Jeff's dad, the son of John McKay, which I couldn't let you guys off here without asking this question, Jeff. Do you have a favorite of your grandfather's quips to share with us? Because, I mean, the man was absolutely legendary, what he would do to the press. Do you have anything in particular?
So I don't think it was USC related, but when he was with the Bucks, and that first year they were just awful. And he was asked, what he thought about his team's execution, and he said, "I'm in favor of it." that was definitely my favorite.
Yeah, I actually fell off my couch when Brian Kelly tried to. Well, he butchered it by attempting to do it and looked really silly.
Oh, I've heard. Yeah,
it was painful to watch. To be honest. There's only one like your grandfather. My dad would have killed me if I didn't talk about that before I let you go here. And then Frank, before I let you go, man, we're doing a lot. Our offensive line, believe it or not, has been like the strength for like, the past like 2 years in my book, on the team. And you like what you're seeing here with the additions, anything you want to share with us about what you've seen? And I'm putting you in a spot here, but is there
here's the thing. I'll just say this. I really like the newest addition that we have, especially with the remaining eligibility that he has left. I just want to give,
is that
Emmanuel from Wyoming.
Oh my goodness. Have you seen
Massive.
This person? Looks like his body mass index is like 20%. That man is
we've
built.
seen
That man is built. But in addition to that, I want to give flowers to Justin Dedich, who's just really developed throughout that system, and he's really going to take a leadership role. When I talk about guys with a mindset, I think about Justin Dedich, and I think what he's going to be able to do with those other pieces on the line, it's going to be something special. So, the portal's still open. There could still be a lot of movement. I'm open to anything that's value add, there's a lot of good players now, but you never know what can happen. It's Showtime Lakers now at this certain capacity, but anyone who's looking to come in and join and add value, man, I'd love to have you. We'd love to, just be a resource and just be there. But I think we're trending in the right direction. We got a great coach, some experience coming back, and I really think you guys are going to be excited for what you see on the field coming up this next season.
Well, I mean, it has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you guys both for taking time out of your Sunday to come visit us, talk to us. Love, if you have any breaking news, love for you guys, if you ever wanted to come back and talk to us, there's always an open door for you guys, and we're really grateful.
Can we, Andrew, guys, we really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. We'd like to have you back once fall camp starts, maybe give an update on the NIL and get your predictions on the season as we get closer to the first game at the end of August. How's that sound?
We would love to
Sounds
do
great.
that. And sorry, I got to give one quick shout out. Happy birthday to my soon to be 6-year-old daughter, Molly McKay, whose birthday is on Tuesday.
Happy birthday.
Awesome. Happy birthday, Molly.
Okay, so you guys, you've been complaining about, I know it. I've seen it on Twitter. I've seen it all over the place. You now have an opportunity. You do not need to be a big, own your own huge company to sign one of these players. You can get involved. It's all above board. It's exactly what USC does. It does it the right way. You can get involved for for $25 at the bottom level, and there's different tiers, as Frank said, for different opportunities for you. So make sure the link is, if you look down below this video right now in the description section, you will see a link for the Conquest Collective. Make sure you at least go check it out. I think it'd be a great opportunity. And remember, it's about being the Trojan family. So if you're part of the Trojan family, you got to reach out. So thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you being here.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Right on.
Wow, Rick. Good job. Good job getting that together for us. I hope that really added a lot of value to all you guys that are out there watching. And if it has, we could ask you guys just one small favor. If you enjoyed this conversation with Frank and Jeff McKay about the new collective and what's going on at USC, please take a moment just to go ahead and subscribe. If you go ahead and hit subscribe button now, you'll be able to, see interviews like this. We're committed to getting the best interviews out there. We've had some wonderful people already. We had John Jackson Jr. came on and shared his thoughts on the wide receiver room. He'll be coming back. And I don't want to tell you the exact date, but we have a really special guest coming up in May. We're going to have Anthony Munoz, Hall of Fame tackle.
Who?
Anthony, So we just had a McKay on. Now we're going to have some more royalty. We're going to have Anthony Munoz, arguably, in my book, definitely the greatest left tackle in the pros and weak side tackle in college of all time. So if you guys want to be involved in that and you do feel like we're adding value and you're enjoying these conversations, please just take 1 minute to go ahead and hit that sub button in the lower corner, and we greatly appreciate it. And remember up here, so you guys
share our link, grow our tailgate, have your friends, family join. Like Tim said, Anthony Munoz is going to be here sometime in May, and when you subscribe, hit the notification bell, you'll get notified, and you'll see who's going to be joining us that particular week and when Anthony will be joining us. So take advantage.
And we will keep going to bring you guys, Trojan family, the best ones out there. Speaking of the best ones out there, and speaking of earlier Thunder, we can't talk about Thunder without talking about Lightning. And it's that time of the show again for 10 straight weeks. Charlie Baker, I'm really trying to do you a favor, man. Get out in front of this thing. It's clearly getting momentum. Billboards, the latest billboard I saw was on the 405 North. Actually, JJ and I were going to a baseball game at Dado, and we saw it with my dad. We saw it sitting there on the 405 freeway. Rick, you seen any of them around?
I've seen it over by Anaheim Stadium on the 5. Viewers that are in the chat or they're watching this sometime later in the week, put down in the comment section or put in the chat where you've seen one. We've heard like you said, 405 freeway 5. We've also heard in Encino, but there's supposed to be a dozen of them. So let us know where else you've seen one.
Okay, so I can't keep doing this, Charlie. Charlie Baker, I know you're out there. You're probably listening because you knew that we had Jeff McKay and Frank coming on talk about the collective. I'm sure you were all over this one. But you have a chance to make good what you did, when your organization allowed Paul D and Missy Comboy to railroad our university. You got an opportunity now to make it right. It's been 4,802 days. 4,802 days since you stole this man's trophy. You need to give it back. It's kind of getting embarrassing for you guys. Right now, actually, we have a great guest coming in. If any of you guys have been smart enough to be listening to me and to Rick tell you about Trojans Wire, you know that Matt Zempic is over there giving you guys the best Trojan content you can ever imagine. He covers all sports from basketball to beach volleyball to definitely football. With no further ado, Matt, how you doing? Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, as the editor of Trojans Wire, had to cover USC winning a third straight women's beach volleyball national championship and beating those UCLA Bruins. Like, there's nothing better. I mean, beating UCLA in Australia, in China, on the beach, on the mountaintop, anywhere feels really good. So
hold on to that thought. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later. But yeah, absolutely. What about this, you guys? So, it's just like, it's like manna from heaven when you start seeing those emojis popping up on Twitter. And a lot of you guys, if you're following us, we talked about a possible Alabama cornerback that was visiting on Friday, and some action might happen. There was lots of tweets that went out, and it is official now. We have the Fegans brothers. Thoughts on that, you guys?
Go ahead, Rick.
I was going to say this is huge news on so many different levels. You have Anquon Fegans, Alabama transfer, class of 2022. He's got 3 years of eligibility, kind of like a Bear Alexander and Emmanuel Pregnon. And this is a guy that needs more playing time. Where have we heard that before? And 6'1", 180 pounds, and he's a 4-star. And he comes from the SEC, he comes from Alabama, and some may say, well, our secondary is loaded. That the defensive back room is full. Why are we getting this guy? Well, because he was a top 122 player in the country, because he played at Alabama, and he has 3 years of eligibility. And oh yeah, we're adding to the defensive depth at USC. So for Lincoln Riley to get him, and then his brother Anquon, who's a class of 2025 recruit, safety, 6'1", 180, 5-star, in the 247 Sports Composite. He's a number 21 player in the country, the number 2 safety, and I believe third player out of Alabama. So not only do you get one, but you get two. Okay, and you're basically setting the stage for the class of 2024. You're changing the narrative. USC can now go in and get a second transfer from the SEC on the defensive side of the ball in the last 2 weeks. In addition, with Anthony Lucas being the third. And so this sets the stage for 2024 and moving forward, and it shows the strength of USC being able to recruit on a national basis. Matt?
So a couple things to hit on. First, when you think of the recent big portal splashes that USC's made, where have they been? One on the D line with Bear Alexander, one on the O line with Pregnon. Now you get more reinforcements in the secondary. If you're thinking about like the 3 position groups where USC needed more, these are it. So I love the addressing specific needs and creating more defensive depth. And the other thing is guys with multiple years of eligibility. These are not 1-year rentals. These are multiple year guys. So they're going to be able to play in the Pac-12, going to make the transition to the Big Ten. They're going to get exposure to a lot of different opponents, coaching styles. So the things that they do in the Pac-12 this year, going to give them a foundation for when they go over to the Big Ten. I think it's going to serve them well in terms of making them more coachable, more ready to adjust, more ready to be prepared. And you're giving Alex Grinch, more resources and more pieces to move around the chessboard and to move within the depth chart. So really, really good fortifications on several levels for USC. And the other thing, I know that Tim has really been banging this drum on Trojan Conquest Live, and it's a salient point, and it's worth reaffirming. This continues to chip away and militate against the notion, USC can't bring in elite defensive talent with Alex Grinch there. And the more USC chips away, and hammers at that point and weakens it and erodes it, like that, the bigger, the better the foundation for this program will be. Now, of course, Alex Grinch needs to deliver the goods. That's the really big part.
Yeah.
But the idea that we can't bring in talent because he's there, that's been pretty roundly refuted in this portal cycle, and that's very important.
Great point. And Lincoln Riley has also taken that abuse that he can't recruit the defensive side of the ball, and he doesn't pay enough attention to the defense, and he's never going to be able to have a winning team because he just cares about the offense. Well, here's an example. Over the weekend, you get 2 brothers, defensive side of the ball. You pull them from Alabama. And, by the way, I think he was at the Laker game on Saturday night with Andy Enfield. and Bronny James. Bronny committing 20 minutes before the Lakers take the Golden State Warriors out to the woodshed and put a 30-point burger on them. And oh, by the way, his father tweets it out or sends it out on Instagram to his 150 million plus followers. So what a commercial for USC.
Yeah, someone brought that up earlier that, Bronny's to be packing in almost Collier, because we're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll talk about that in a minute as well. The Galen Center, right? But also, we already have Jerry Rice on the sidelines. Now we're gonna have LeBron James on the sidelines, along with, we're gonna always have the Marcus Allens, the Ronnie Lotts, and those guys, So I don't know, you guys, it started to remind me of something that we used to have going on here, saucing along with full coliseums. I can really see something special happening. And like you said, Matt, we also hit on the fact. So we talked about iron sharpening iron. Remember, maybe, Mekhi Blackman came over to USC to go against the best, and iron does sharpen iron. And so he can talk about, he's going up, getting reps against the best receivers in college football. I'm sorry. Yes. Ohio State, LSU. Yeah, you guys have good receivers, but we have great receivers here as well. So that's another added bonus. And the fact that Mekhi Blackman beat everyone's expectations, and he was a great lockdown corner for us last year. This just goes to show you he's getting all those reps, all that practice, all that development against the best receivers in the country. That itself is also a selling point for the university. So I'll say this, right? So it's a big narrative that they only play defense over there in the SEC, right? Well, so correct me if I'm wrong, you guys. So now we have Lucas. So we have two linemen. We got Lucas from Texas A&M. We got Alexander from Georgia, and now we got on the second level, in the secondary, we now have a cornerback / safety / nickel from Alabama. I don't know. So this might go a long way to quiet some of those people that say, like you said, Matt, like we've been talking about on the show, that we just can't get defenders over here, and that Lincoln doesn't care about defense. I mean, that was one of the stupidest comments I've ever seen on any of my mentions, but that's the way it is, right? So next to the news, it just keeps coming, you guys, this week. So we had the Conquest Collective. We got the news now about both Fegans brothers joining USC. We also yesterday had this. It was confusing with the emojis because we also had this guy. You guys, Bronny James. Bronny James has come over to join Collier as, and we got when it was official. Was it last week? The week before? That Boogie Ellis is coming back. And if you guys follow the NCAA tournament, sure, it used to be a big man's, tournament, but really guard play goes a long way in the tournament, and as well as, in Pac-12 play. So now you're going to have Boogie, and you're going to have Collier, and you're going to have this Bronny James kid who I know gets a lot of hype because of his name, but in his own right, he's a McDonald's All-American. He was a combo guard, right? He's more of a two guard, probably more of a shooter, I would think. Mm-hmm. And so then you have this dynamic backfield that they're building there in Troy. What do you guys think about what's going on with this?
Well, it's you can kind of see the dominoes falling when Trey White transfers and I'm forgetting his name.
Reese Dixon
Waters transfer to San Diego State. So something was brewing, and obviously Bronny James hadn't committed, but you could kind of read the tea leaves, and so it was a matter of time. And boy, did he pick some good timing to do it. And congratulations to the young man. I think it's going to open up a lot of different opportunities, as you mentioned, Tim, with Boogie Ellis coming back, and this Isaiah Collier is phenomenal, this kid. And he's a playmaker. And then you got Vince the Prince. Hopefully his health's going to improve and he'll be back.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be exciting seeing these guys run up down the court. And don't forget Kobe Johnson, what a defender that guy is. And it's going to be exciting. Matt, you've been
really quickly, Matt.
So
you had a really great article in Trojans Wire regarding why don't you introduce a gentleman from Kentucky? Rumors, you guys, smoke's flying for another 5-star guy joining the program. Matt, you want to tell us about that?
So here's the transfer portal. Well, not the transfer portal. Here's the recruiting rumor mill. So Aaron Bradshaw, 7-foot center, 5-star from Kentucky with John Calipari. He's represented by Clutch Sports. So you know that's LeBron's agency. And obviously Bronny James is represented by Clutch. So there are rumors, and people in Kentucky think that Bradshaw is going to stay with Calipari at Kentucky, but they also say, like, these rumors are not crazy. There's actually something to them. It's not ridiculous. You know, maybe Bronny has enough pull to get Aaron Bradshaw, flip him from Kentucky to USC. And if that happens, like kaboom, like USC would then be, you know, would have multiple 7-footers, you know, with Vince the Prince as well. And you'd really would have a Final Four level roster. Now, talking Final Four, I don't think Bronny makes USC a Final Four contender. It's Isaiah Collier. He's the #1 ranked recruit in the 2023 cycle. But Bronny does two specific things. One, he provides a lot more depth. You know, Boogie Ellis, you know, we saw him wear down when Michigan State and Tom Izzo threw a lot of bodies at him in the NCAA tournament. USC didn't have that plan B, that other scoring option. So Bronny is that plan B, you know, and so this is how Andy Enfield can keep Boogie Ellis and Bronny James fresh over the course of the whole season. He doesn't have to run either one of them into the ground. Boogie Ellis was playing roughly 33 minutes a game. Drew Peterson was playing 36. Those guys were exhausted, and that's why they wore down in the Pac-12 tournament and the NCAA tournament March Madness. Now you have so much more depth, and Enfield can play guys in like the 28 to 30-minute range consistently. So they're getting like 10 to 12 minutes of rest, but they're getting plenty of playing time. Like 28 minutes is not, you know, peripheral, lower end of the bench playing time. That's still substantial. And people are going to debate, you know, should Bronny start? Should he be a sixth man? Like LeBron's going to insist that his son plays as a starter. It's less about starter versus bench. It's just more about being able to get a consistent amount of high-level minutes. And I think that Enfield can mix and match. And whether Bronny is the sixth man or a starter, he's going to be playing like upper 20 minutes, you know, like 28, 29 minutes a night. Maybe some nights he'll start, maybe some nights he won't. But the thing is, Enfield can rotate him in with Boogie Ellis, with Isaiah Collier, and you have big men that you can rotate. You have Vince the Prince, Josh Morgan, Kajani Wright. USC doesn't just have star power, but it has a level of depth that it hasn't had in the men's basketball program in a very long time. The other thing that Bronny James does, every Galen game is going to be sold out this year. You know it. You know every game's going to be a capacity crowd. Even the cupcake games in mid-November or early December, people will want to be at a USC basketball game, and that has not been the case. And this is not to bag on anyone, but like you have UCLA, you know, a Cadillac blue blood program in Los Angeles with the 11 national championships and all that, and USC's played second fiddle. It is what it is. USC basketball this season is going to be the hot ticket in Los Angeles college basketball, not UCLA. First time ever. First time we can ever really say that, unless you want to count 1940 with that Sam Barry team, which made the Final Four, you know, in the second year of the NCAA tournament. But like in the modern era of college basketball, since the John Wooden dynasty, first time that USC is going to be the sexy college basketball program in LA. And that is really what USC needed, right? Because having a packed house every night and having intense, like when USC hosts UCLA at the Galen Center, it's intense. Having that energy every home game, that's something that the program needed. And Andy Enfield and the players, they could do everything they want. Let's just admit it. In Los Angeles, you need those style points. You need that splashy presence. Bronny James gives USC that splashy presence, which is going to make USC basketball cool. And it's going to be new, and it's going to be great. And the publicity from that, like if Bronny James, if this works out, and we all hope it does, if it works out, USC is then going to be an example. Like, oh, I can send my superstar son to Andy Enfield. He's going to get taken care of. He's going to develop. He's going to become an NBA lottery pick. And USC is in position to become the big deal, the big cheese in LA for a long time. So it just sets up a world of great possibilities for USC basketball.
And branching off of what you just said, not only that, but this is going to be a great opportunity for USC to put up or shut up about the fact of how our NIL is different than everybody else. Bronny James's NIL, his following on social media is through the roof. The fact that he's choosing USC to brand himself, that in of itself tells you the power of Trojan branding. if they can use this example and they can springboard off this for other great, he's a great player in his own right, but also celebrity level before they get to USC, say, hey, come here. You think your brand's great now? Watch what happens when you're on the big stage here in Los Angeles. Look what we can do for you by coming to USC with our brand in our town compared to whatever. I'm not going to disparage any small little town out there, but this is where the big guys come to play. And a lot's been made of the fact that maybe it's going to turn into a circus. I mean, all the detractors, of course. Oh, it's going to be a circus with LeBron there. But remember, here's one thing. I don't know who to attribute to, but somebody in, some famous celebrity said something about, the only thing worse than being talked about, like for the wrong reasons, is not being talked about at all. And so this is a great opportunity for USC to shine. And I think they will. Speaking of opportunities to shine, this is what I was talking about with you guys. Talk about the power of the Trojan family. Talk about, if you know USC football, branding power of being a Trojan. Anthony Munoz is about at the summit of this. A member of the baseball team, national champion in baseball. A member, although he got hurt 6 games into the season, of the 1978 team, came back against everyone couldn't believe. He'd probably tell us that story in 79 to lead USC to an amazing win over #1 Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. Go on to be a Hall of Fame member, a Ring of Honor for the Bengals, an NFL Man of the Year. I mean, I can spend the whole show talking about his accolades. He's going to be on the show. So I really would like to impress you guys. If you guys would like to be in the know and know when this is going to happen, you have to make sure that you are subscribing to our channel. If we are giving you content that you feel is benefiting you, getting the information you're going to need to be a Trojan fan, you have to be subscribing. And if you could also, just one more favor we could ask of you, we try to put together these great shows, bring great guests. Go and hit that like button, because that's going to ensure that more people get out there and they actually see the show and future shows. So yeah, wrapping this up, you also see down there in the bottom, that is, I believe, Kobe's youngest daughter. And guess where she's going to school? That's right. She's going to be coming to USC. So there's a lot of Laker royalty coming to the Trojans. And we all know anyone that went to USC, it's just a great place to be.
All right. But before I jump off, and I know that, Mark at Rogers and Tony Altimore, they have their USC show coming up later at the Voice of College Football. So you want to stay tuned to that, everybody who's watching here. But I have one other commercial, and it is a Voice of College Football commercial. On the USC channel at the Voice of College Football, the homepage for the USC channel, in the upper right-hand corner, next to the subscribe button, there's also a join button. And on that join button, on the USC channel homepage on YouTube at the Voice of College Football, when you click that join button, you get some pull-down tabs, and there are 3 tiers of memberships. All right. And for the middle and upper tiers, you get exclusive videos. In the top tier, you get exclusive live streams. But for the middle tier, you get exclusive bonus content. And you will notice on the USC channel, there's like a 33-second snippet of a conversation I had with Mark about the Pac-12 and USC versus Colorado and Deion Sanders. That snippet, you get that full 15-minute exclusive, bonus video if you join that middle tier for the membership. So this is how Mark is trying to get some extra income for himself and also the people who work with him at the Voice of College Football. And like when Trojan Conquest Live develops its own collection of bonus cuts, bonus segments, you'll be able to join on the membership level and support Tim and Rick and giving them income. And I know that they do this for love of the game. They do this for love of USC. But if you want to support the people who are providing you the USC content you crave every week, join up. Maybe not the top membership tier, but that if you can join at that middle tier, you're going to get exclusive bonus videos from Mark Rogers and from the other people here at the USC channel on the Voice of College Football. It's important to support what we're doing here at the Voice of CFB.
Well, thank you, Matt, for all that, and thank you for joining us as always. One quick word on the three-peat on the volleyball side.
Oh, just that this is a dynasty. 5 NCAA national championships in the past 7 NCAA tournaments, USC rules the beach, not the
Awesome.
Bruins. It's the
Guys,
USC
make sure-
territory.
You guys make sure you're following Matt and Samek over at Trojans Wire. I have that link also in the description. In addition to that, tomorrow night, you guys can catch Mark and Matt at 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 Eastern for their weekly show. Thanks again, Matt.
Yep. Trojans
Matt.
Wire is your home for Bronny James coverage.
All right.
So, Rick, all right. So I think Matt laid out there pretty good. Anything to add about the women's title?
It was a three-peat, as Matt mentioned, and kudos to Dane Blanton and his team. They lost, I believe it was 10 players last year. This was a, quote, rebuilding year, unquote. And the Norse twins, they're their third pair. They were the ones to bring it home. It was USC went up 2-0 in the first flight, and then UCLA came back and won 2 matches. And it came down to the Norse twins in the third and final set. And on their visors, they have the numbers 8 and 24. They are big Kobe fans, and they definitely channel the Mamba mentality. Speaking of Kobe's daughter at SC, and so full circle. They really dug deep, and Coach Blanton said, if there's one pair that I wanted, on the beach in a crucial situation, it's the Norse twins, and they live for the moment. And congrats to them. And also just a huge championship taking out UCLA.
Absolutely. So then in other news, there's top 5. And so this is that time of the year when people are throwing out their top 5s way too early. But at this point, we are starting to see, after spring ball, not that spring games really show us much of anything, but it does show us, a little bit of the athletes out there in a uniform, not in a high school, how they're matching up against collegiate competition. Offensive, defensive schemes are pretty bland, but you do get to see them. You also get to see, like we have, bringing in all of our transfers. And so the roster is probably not 100% set at USC. Matter of fact, there have been players that have hinted to the fact that they're not done, or like as Pete Carroll would say, we're just getting started. I mean, that's really the excitement at USC. But as of right now, Mark Schlabach comes out with his way too early. And earlier in the season, earlier in the year, back in January, Rick?
Yeah.
Back in January, he came out, he had the Trojans at 7. Well, he's upgraded that, and he's moved us up to number 4 in the country. So we thought it'd be fun. Rick and I mean, this is kind of crazy this early this season. It's not completely settled yet. But what would if we were forced to make make a prediction at gunpoint, what would we choose? Again, this is so difficult to do because there's a lot of turnover in football from year to year. But there are trending, and there are programs that just from the people they're bringing back are going to be up there at the top. So here we go. So on the left, you have Schlabach. It says USC, but it's really Schlabach. And he has UGA. He has Georgia up at number 1. He's got Block M, Michigan at 2. He's got the Seminoles of Florida State at 3. Our Trojans at 4. And the Buckeyes at 5. In the middle, that's mine. I've got Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, and USC. And then Rick on the right, he loves them corn dogs. He's got Georgia, LSU, Michigan, the Buckeyes, and then the Trojans. So you guys in the chat right now, go ahead, tell us how crazy we are. Go ahead and tell us your too early top 5 there in the chat. If you guys are watching this later on in the week or tonight, go ahead, please drop a comment. Let us know, where are we wrong? How crazy are we? What do you think your top 5 would be? So Rick, do you want to explain your top 5?
Yeah, I obviously Georgia, they're going for the three-peat themselves, and until somebody knocks them off, they're number 1. They are loaded. I have LSU at number 2. You have Brian Kelly. He's recruited really well there the last 2 years in the transfer portal. They have their entire offensive line coming back. Their front 7 is ridiculous. In fact, one of the guys broke his leg in the first game of the year. If you remember last year, I think his name was it Mason Smith, I want to say. Broke his leg the first game of the year, was out for the whole year. They picked up, they got Harold Perkins at linebacker. They have the Oregon State transfer, linebacker transfer. I'm blanking on his name right now. Somebody in the chat help me out. Omar Spates. I think who it is.
Oh, that was
And
pickup from the
yeah,
Beavers. That was a great
State.
pickup.
So they're loaded, and they have Jaden Daniels. I'm not 100% sold on Jaden Daniels as much as the prognosticators are, but he's serviceable. They have so much talent around him, and then you have a championship coach like Brian Kelly. Obviously, he hasn't won a national championship, but he's got the talent around him. So that's why I have LSU at 2. I got Michigan at 3. I got Ohio State ahead of us because they just have more talent, I believe. Obviously, Ohio State has to break in a quarterback, but I see USC being right in the mix for a playoff spot. What about you, Tim? What are your thoughts on Alabama being in your top 5?
I brought Alabama for one simple reason. Everyone saying the decline, and you look at last year, they lost games, but they didn't lose by much. And then people say, well, they didn't. Look at Texas, they didn't win by much. Until I'm proven otherwise, with the athletes they have, with the coaching they have. Now, I will tell you, one thing did give me pause. And the one thing that gave me pause was that quarterback situation. And possibly, Irish fans, plug your ears, the Tommy Rees factor. But I'm not gonna start doubting any decisions and choices that Saban's going to make. Nick Saban has been has a proven record of bringing in the right coordinators, year after year after year. We saw here at USC that there was a miss or two on some of the coaching staff and coordinators late in the Pete Carroll era, but there weren't many. And that's a way to keep a dynasty going is to continue. We know Nick Saban is the CEO. We know he is that guy. But who are you bringing as your coordinator? And I got to admit, I did take a pause when I put them at 3. When I put them at 4. But I just can't leave. I couldn't leave them off my top 5. And I was not at this point unproven putting USC ahead of them. So that's how they got to 4.
That's fair.
So last chance, folks. You want to go ahead and get your top 5 in there. And again, if you are not watching this live, please make sure that you go ahead and leave it in the comment section. And you guys, leave us some comments. And we're going to slow down here for a week or two until we have Anthony Munoz join us. And I think our news will slow down a little bit as far as recruiting, etc., for the next week or two. But go ahead and get that information to us. If you have questions, things you maybe want us to cover, go ahead and put those in the comment section. The chat's going way too fast for me to keep up with, and I do apologize to you guys. And I appreciate you guys putting questions there. But the best way, and I hate to say this, the way on days like today where it's moving so fast, if you give us a super chat, if you're something you really want us to address, hit the super chat. I'm trying to go back and I'm going to try to find people that might have room for a question at the end here. But it's going so fast, it's hard for me to run the show and do this and still check the chat. So please put a Q in front of it. So maybe I definitely see it's a question you want answered. That way I can get a little faster. So that's our top 5. Again, leave it in the comment section. If you have a different top 5, we're now here in the post-game wrap-up. This is the part of the show. We try to be an interactive show. We want to hear from you guys. We try to pop up your comments as we go, but we would like to answer questions at the end as well. Also, we would love to have you guys call in. I dropped it earlier. If you guys join StreamYard, it's really simple. You go ahead and click on that link. You're going to put your name in, and then you have the option of turning on your camera or not. You don't have to go on camera. If you're camera shy like me, I definitely have a face for radio. If you don't want to put your face on the screen, it gives you the option not to go on. Really, all we're going to hear is your audio. So please, if you're a Trojan out there, if you'd like to ask Rick some questions, you're always more than welcome to join us at this part of the show. So with that, Rick, did you catch any questions that popped up there that you wanted to address?
I haven't seen one. D-Rock Irish, thanks for your, looks like top 6. Georgia, LSU, Michigan, USC, Ohio State, Bama. That's solid. I think that's very fair. Let me see what else do we have out here in Donnell Smith says, what do you think USC odds are with the defensive tackle from Ole Miss? I've heard from a number of different people that that's a no-go, that there's not an interest, I believe, on USC's part. So we'll have to watch and see, what happens with the transfer portal. Obviously, the transfer portal has closed. There's a bunch of players in the portal. They can sign from now until fall camp, and then graduate transfers to a lesser degree. There's not going to be as many, but they can jump into the portal at any time if they're a graduate transfer. So there's going to be some more activity. Another key thing that I want to bring up with respect to the defensive backs that USC pulled from Alabama is that's a huge get for Lincoln Riley, because they could have gone to Colorado. Coach Prime, he's a defensive back specialist. He could have pulled both of those guys to Colorado, and iron sharpens iron. He could have had that, going there with the players that he has, Patrick Hunter.
Yeah, but Rick, remember what iron is sharpening on the other side of the ball? Can you name me one or two receivers?
Coach Prime can sell that program going up against Lincoln Riley. He has that ability, but it didn't happen. So that's an extra feather in Lincoln Riley's cap that he was able to go ahead and pull both of them to come to USC. Now, granted, the younger brother, he's a class of 2025. If you want to play, worst case scenario, there's a lot of time between now and then, but I think it's pretty solid that he wants to play with his brother. And, there's a very good chance that he will sign with USC.
I think Coach Prime's going to do a good job turning around Colorado, but when given the choice to play for Coach Prime, he's going to do a great job. I just think that it's night and day. You're going to Colorado or USC. You're going to go for Coach Prime, or you go to for Lincoln Riley. I think right now we're steadily in the driver's seat. Larry Pilgrim, Utah Ute fan, huge supporter of the show. How you doing, Larry?
Good. How are you doing, Tim and Rick?
Hey, Larry. Great. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you guys. Hey, I was just going to keep this short and sweet. And I know we can't use transitive property a whole bunch, but I honestly, I don't know how to put Michigan and Ohio State anywhere from 1 to 6, just in my opinion. And it's just based on transitive property. And I mean, Michigan really had Ohio State's number, but Ohio State gave gave Georgia the best game of the year. And then Michigan lost to TCU. So for me, it's really hard to put anybody in the top 4 this year. I think there's really 10 teams that you could go 1 through 4. Talent wise, this seems like a more of a, if you look at recruiting, and obviously USC doesn't have that recruiting. They've got plenty of talent there, and you've got Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams, which just automatically puts them in the top 10 for me. But I think there's 10 teams that are in the top. I don't know if I could put Michigan after watching what TCU did. And if that makes sense. I'm just making more of a point than a question, but I guess my question would be, can you really see a clear top 4? I mean, is it really cut and dry? I don't think it is.
No, there's a lot of, and Clay, we'll be right with you in a moment. Thank you for calling in. Larry, no, I mean, this is all very fluid, right?
Right.
Could the Buckeyes figure out what's going, their problems with the Wolverines? That'll go a long way to sign this top 4, correct? Actually, one loss, one of those teams might still be in the top 5. And then we're going to learn a lot more about, like I was talking about with the offense. We know that Alabama's have a good defense, but what's that offense going to look like under Tommy Rees? And then Georgia, I mean, the Buckeyes were a field goal away, you guys. We could talk about all we want. I mean, it's an amazing defense they have over there at Georgia, but losing their coordinator, losing a 25-year starter and a quarterback, and the situation they have at Georgia is a lot in flux. So, and USC coming up, there's a lot of programs. LSU coming up, it is very fluid. Anything probably could happen. So you're absolutely right on that.
Yeah, and like I was saying, what are your thoughts? Do you line up with me a little bit on that, Rick, or what do you think?
Well, I take a look. I understand what you're saying. I like Michigan in where they're at right now because of their quarterback and their running game and their offense. I think there's some questions about Ohio State's defense. We're going to get to see, if they answer some of those questions, and we're going to get to see what their new quarterback's going to look like. But they've got incredible wide receiver room. They're loaded at running back. They'll have a stout offensive line. And Ohio State's going to get tested in the early going. In the fourth game, they play at Notre Dame. For some reason, again, Michigan has a weak schedule. Shame on Michigan, but that's why I have them in the top 5, is because their schedule is soft. But Ohio State has a chance to get a quality win on the road. But I think they have more questions than Michigan going into this season. And I think LSU is poised to have a very good year, and the first game of the year against Florida State is going to tell us a lot as well.
Right. Okay. I wanted to pick your brains, and that's where I'm sitting. I'm just like, I don't know if there's a clear number 1 or 1 through 4. For all we know, Penn State could be the best Big Ten team.
Yeah, we don't know, and they have a new quarterback as well. Yeah,
McNamara actually cost them the game. He threw
Larry,
2
thanks for
pick
calling
sixes. Yep, you bet. Okay.
Larry, thanks for calling in. I got you, buddy. But we got to move on. We also have the boss of the line here, so I got to get moving. So, but listen, we appreciate you always supporting us. Talk to you soon. And next up, we have Clay. Now, Clay threw me a little bit because it said Clay, California, Johansson, but I could have sworn I saw Block M in the background there. Clay, how you doing?
Yes, it is. It is. Go Blue.
What's up, Clay? Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you. How you doing? Thanks for calling in.
Yep. I'm just my top 5 would be definitely got to put Georgia in there because you got to beat them to get them out of there. Then Michigan, Ohio State. I'd say Alabama because I don't see them losing too many games if they had to. And then I want to put SC in there, but you guys got a lot of good quarterbacks in the Pac-12, and I think it's going to be a rat race for you guys. So that's my top 5.
That's a fair point. A lot of good quarterbacks out here, and USC's back end of the schedule is loaded. So there's going to be some challenges.
Yeah, the schedule is not going to.
Now, when you guys go to the Big Ten, what would you be your 3?
So not this. It'll be in 2024, and we'll have the roster for. If you're looking at how we're building our trenches up, if you would have told me 2 years ago how I feel about joining the Big Ten, I'd be a bit worried with what it looked like. Having 280-pound nose tackles and stuff like that. I would have been very, very afraid. But they're doing a great job bolstering up that front 7 and also on the offensive line.
What would you want your 3 rivals to be in the Big Ten?
What do I want them to be?
So what
I want to be, I would love to play Penn State. Well, I don't know. See, the third one's a mystery, but definitely Ohio State and Michigan, and then it's just a crapshoot from from everyone from Nebraska to Iowa to Penn State. There's so many. Do you know what I mean? But those 2 for sure. But I also, being realistic, do you think I want to play Penn State, Michigan, and Ohio State every single year? I mean, I know even an extended 12-team playoff.
I say,
man, that's the hard hitting, the penalty. That would be a lot to ask a team to do. I think you're going to see those things split up. I'm wondering what Ohio State's could be stuck with.
To me,
do you think they want to have
every year anyway? So, but I thought Michigan would be for you, and Ohio State would be good for SC. State would be good for 1, and then Michigan State, I'm going to say Trojans and the Spartans fight that out.
Well, Clay, we're going to be doing a lot later on before the season starts. We're going to do a lot talking about USC's history with the Big Ten and also what we're predicting for them to do as they get to the Big Ten. So I really hope that you will subscribe and join us later on for these conversations. And we welcome all Big Ten fans as well as Pac-12 because we're kind of in limbo right now, right? So if you guys want to join and subscribe, we look forward to talking in the future. Take care.
Okay, have a good one.
Thanks, Clay.
All right, and then we'll bring on the boss. Okay. Mark, how you doing?
Looks like
Mark, were you coming in? Maybe not. Maybe Mark's just getting ready for his show. You there, Mark? Okay. All right. And then so we have a question here, Rick, and then we can answer this really quickly. If you're a talented player, would you rather live in Alabama or Southern California? So now I saw the word there is live. I didn't say, do you want to play for the legendary coach Nick Saban? It says live in Alabama or Southern California. So if you were an 18-year-old, 17-year-old, 19-year-old. Where would you want to live? Southern California or Alabama?
Every kid is different. And we just have an example of two brothers that made a commitment to Lincoln Riley to come out and play in Southern California. So sometimes people just want a different pace of life, a different change. They're from Alabama. Hey, doesn't mean they're going to live out here permanently, but they want to come out here and play and experience Southern California and playing for a team like USC. So, and vice versa. There's kids from Southern California that a slower pace of life, such as Alabama, is a refreshing lifestyle change for them. They want to get out of Southern California. So
that's right. Some bass fishing, some
ways.
relaxing, yeah. So I mean, that's what I tell people. I try to tell them all the time. People, wherever you live, you got to remember something. You go to, I've only been to 47 of the 50 states, but of all those states, I've always found at least one beautiful spot saying, man, I'd love to stay here a lot longer. So anybody that thinks that, the grass isn't greener somewhere else, you probably haven't done enough traveling. But I got to tell you though, I think Southern California has a little bit of everything. It really does. So for my money, that's why I'm still here. I love Southern California. So that's it for another great show, Rick. Really appreciate all the people, that stopped by. Jeff McKay and Frank Martin coming in, talking to us about the Conquest Collective. Remember, one more time, I just want to shamelessly plug this because I think we've deserved this, because we're going to have Anthony Munoz coming in, you guys. And if you don't know who he is, go ahead and do yourself a big favor and Google it. Because this is one of the greatest, if not the greatest lineman ever to play the game. Go ahead. We have the pleasure of joining him on a conversation. He even was so generous. He said, hey, I'll be here for the whole hour. So make sure you come, bring your questions. We'll see if we can get as many answered as possible. Go ahead and in between now and then, if you guys have questions for Anthony, you can feel free to send me a DM at Trojan Conquest or Rick at LBC Trojan. We're more than happy to attribute your question and ask Anthony that question for you. It's just an amazing opportunity. It just shows you the power of the Trojan family. He's an amazing football player, but you guys got to understand really quickly, he's also an even more amazing person. And if you guys have enjoyed any of our content tonight, if we brought any value at all to you guys, Trojan fans of college football tonight, please, the biggest thank you can give us is to go and hit that like button so more people will see this video. And if you'd like to see better content and make sure you're ready for when we have Anthony in a couple of weeks, please make sure that you subscribe and hit the notification to know when we'll be going live with that. Rick, any final thoughts?
Hey, it was a heck of a weekend. Congratulations to the women's beach volleyball team, national champs. And congrats to the Fegan brothers committing to USC. I look forward to another crazy week this week, and let's see how many recruits we get for the 2024 class. And Tim, always a pleasure. Great job tonight. What are your final thoughts?
Well, I just want to remind everyone out there, whatever team you follow for, Trojan family out there, it's always great to be a Trojan. Fight on. We'll see you guys next week.
Right on.